Hello, Jimmy here, the righties. I have here today another Mercedes E-Class. This one is a cabriolet. Okay, so this vehicle has got an engine management light on down here, and there is a couple of other. I just had the engine running and I pressed clear to a couple of items there. I think getting a few messages come up. So obviously one which is a concern for DPFs straight away is that it's got a reserve fuel level. You shouldn't have a reserve fuel level if you want your DPF to regenerate. If your fuel level is low, most cars won't allow you to, or allow the car to do its self-regeneration. Okay, so I'm going to use the King Bowling K10 for this video. You can see the model of the car there, E220 CDI, blue efficiency. Let's run a diagnostic scan. So the customer has said it is a DPF issue. We're just going to see what's going on here. Going to run a full scan of the car. Now this might take a while because there's an awful lot of items here to scan through. Let's see, we only have one fault in the ECM. So while that's loading, I'm going to open the bonnet. So one of the first things I want to look at on these particular model cars is these boost hoses down here. I'm going to get off this inlet pipe here, twist those, pull it up from that direction there. We can get that off. This one's been a bit of a tight one. Okay, we've got that off. So these pipes down here, you just want to make sure that they're dry. Have a little feel around them, make sure you're not getting any oil on your fingers, so they haven't got any splits on them. It's okay, and I can see the red one on that side looks okay as well. If these are common for splitting, and you'll see sort of wet oil misting around the areas. So both of those are okay. Okay, so the diagnostic scan's finished. Let's see what codes we have. Anything that looks like it's going to affect the DPF. Communication with the instrument cluster, that could do. Looks like this has had a flat battery. Temperature sensor left footwell for the vents, short circuit. Electronic power steering. Now this is one car of many that the owner has got here. He's got a whole heap of cars everywhere, some more down there. With this being the cabriolet version, or convertible, whatever you like to call it, I do get the feeling that this car only gets used on certain occasions, and it's had a flat battery and it doesn't do the mileage that it needs to do for a DPF regen. If you don't do enough miles, the car will not clean itself. Now what is common on these with a P2463, of course you got a block DPF and no apparent reason for it, but through my own experience and doing lots of these cars, if you don't change the DPF pressure sensor after you've cleaned the DPF, you'll just keep getting this issue back, and you'll have no apparent reason why it's happening. But the DPF pressure sensor itself, when it gets hot, it can intermittently start failing or giving the incorrect readings, and then you get your engine management light back on. Of course, like I said as well, best to keep more than a quarter of a tank of fuel in it. So if we enter now the fault here, going to go to data streams, and then here we have diesel particle filter. We're going to tick off a few of these items: fill level of the DPF and particle filter pressure. Okay, we can see there we got around about 20 millibars of pressure, 263% fill level of the DPF. Now I'm going to accelerate the car up a little bit. It only goes to about 2200 RPM. So it's a little bit blocked, but not majorly. More blocked on the idle than it is on full revs. I'm just going to hold the revs here for a minute and see if this fill level is moving. Does it go up or down? Just want to have a quick look at that. So just going to hold the revs now at about 1500 RPM, just to see if we are getting the fill level move up or down. It doesn't seem to be moving. Looks like it's locked in where it is there. Of course we can take it on a road test, which would make that increase, but we don't want to take it on a drive really, we don't need to do that. 263%, so we want to see that under 10% really, under 50%, but under 10% ideally. And these pressures here, what we want to see is at 3000 RPM, we'd like to see it round about there, 40 millibars, and at idle we'd like to see a 0 reading. Okay, so if we take off the engine cover, we're going to have an ECU right there, we need to remove that. Use an E10 socket, and you can undo the 4 of these, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then you're going to get your fingers, let me just turn the light on, round the back here, pull out the little clip, and you can get the wiring harness up. Now you can lift up your ECU and just tuck it back behind there, try to get it to sit in there. Now you're going to remove the air mass meter, clip that out, press it down, remove that, and we can remove the air inlet pipe here from the air filter housing. Pull that out, and we can lift this upwards. This always gets caught here, this little pipe, so you just need to push that to the side and then pull the filter housing out. Just on this bracket here you got 3 of these bolts, same again, E10s, and then you can wiggle this bracket around. Just behind there we have the DPF pressure sensor, again that's attached with an E10 bolt. That's that one again. Now that one is a little bit longer than the others. Now we can use a little special pliers here to open these clips right here, 1 and 2. Okay, so we've got these clips now opened using a set of these pliers. So now to get these hoses off of this sensor, they are going to be quite tight. I use a little trim tool like this, just get it between the sensor and the hose and you can work it all the way down. Now we've got the sensor out, I'm going to use this kit from Launch UK. It's a DPF cleaning fluid and gun that we can clean the DPF with, and it sprays in through this nozzle here at 130 psi. Get the fluid into the gun and we'll mix that with a little bit of water. Okay, now we've got that sensor out, we connect up the gun here to the hose that the pressure sensor came from. That's connected to a compressor at 130 psi, like I said, that goes in there. So you're going to use the fatter size hose. One hose is slimmer than the other, and this is the hose that we put the DPF cleaning fluid in. Now we squeeze the trigger, get the fluid in there. Now we remove the gun and just let that sit for a couple of minutes. Now I'm just going to start the engine, let any of that fluid come back out of the pipe that's in there. Once I think that's clear, we can get it reattached. Now we'll get rid of the old sensor, get a new one in, reattach everything back the way it came off. Now we just put the engine cover back together. We can start the engine up and we should see a little bit of foam coming out of the back, and you will get steam coming from here. This is not combustion smoke, it's vapor steam basically from the fluid. So you see it should look like that. I'm going to use this pedal depressor to hold the revs up at 3000 RPM. Reset that back up. Now you will get a bit of suds out like this, but they do just wash away with a hose. You'll get a lot of vapor. Can you just see it like that? It should die away in about 5 minutes, clear out. Now if we come back inside, we should see a little bit of the magic happening here. So we should see the pressure coming down, and hopefully we'll see this fill level coming down. Sometimes these are just locked in, even though the DPF is clean, the pressure or the percentage, calculated percentage, doesn't go down. So what we want to see is this down around sort of 50 millibars of pressure. and if the fill level doesn't reset on its own, we can reset that in the special functions. Okay, let's let go of the rev. So we still have 10 millibars of pressure. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is come back from the data stream and we'll go to special functions. I'm going to go to teach in process. So this tool, I'm going to put my affiliate link in the description, and if you buy the tool from there, I'll make a small percentage from it. This is King Bowling K10. You have cheaper, this rounds out at currently at around about £800. They have cheaper models that go down to 400, 300 and stuff like that if you're looking for something cheaper. I'm going to reset the drift compensation on this, and you can see there what this resets when you do that. The DPF pressure sensor and all of these others. Continue. And then you press F3. Now that that's done, we're going to do the particle filter. So this is basically telling it it's got a new particle filter. Even though it hasn't, we have the particle filter clean. So we can now reset it. F3. This is going to allow us now to clear the faults, and we can take the car on a test drive. And after that we should see no more faults on the dash, and also the pressure should drop a little bit further once we've done a test drive. Okay, so now if we come back to the live data here, you can see the percentage is now 0% because that's all been reset. So now we can clear this fault code here after everything's been reset, and we can take it on our test drive. Okay, so end result there after test drive is it's at 40 HPA, and if we let that idle down, it's not for some reason gone below 10 HPAs yet. So I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue, but all seems to be okay so far. Now we just check, make sure all of the fault codes haven't returned. So that's it, I'm all finished on this E-Class, and I'll see you on the next video.